Okay, so I'm gonna demonstrate here without script. Hope it goes well. A little bit of the IoT Hub, Sitecore IoT Hub, which is a module that I created for connection between Sitecore and IoT objects. Two important concepts in this module. The first is the direction, talking about the directions of communication between Sitecore and a device using Azure. Cloud to device direction, which is basically Sitecore asks for a method. Of course, the device has to have that method available, and Sitecore calls that method. Azure will intermediate that and pass that call to the device, which will react and respond back if any response, and then Azure passes that back to Sitecore. Of course, this works well. But you can imagine that, for instance, if I want to use that information for personalization, usually you can have same rule being executed multiple times. You cannot do one call for each of the execution. It would not be performatic. But it's good for situations where you are changing something in the object from Sitecore. Something, for instance, when Sitecore is asking the object to turn a light on or off, or to turn a motor on or off, or to show something on screen, react in a way. So I'm saving data on the object. But what if you want to have, for instance, imagine the object is a thermometer. It's measuring temperature. Okay. You don't need to ask the thermometer every time you need to read the temperature. You can have what we call the device to cloud, which is where the device itself will send the information to Sitecore with intermediation of Azure, passing that information to Sitecore without being requested, but only because the temperature changes in the thermometer example, that information is being sent to Sitecore. So what I did was to take advantage of both. And for instance, in the thermometer example, I only have to read that information if I don't have that. And if I do have that information saved from the last state, I will take that locally. That is very fast, instead of reading from the device directly. Well, those two concepts are very important because I will show now in a Sitecore how that is set up, okay? So I have here the modules folder and the IoT Hub root folder. I have here the folder for hubs. This is mapping with Azure panel, okay? So if I go here to my Azure portal, it's a free, if you want to use only one hub, it is free. But if you want to have more hubs, it should pay. But basically, I do have my hub here, and the devices are all registered here. I have a bunch of example devices that I put together for the demonstration. So I have the thermometer, the smart display, etc. So everything is in Azure. They do have a connection string and some connection parameters. And here I created my hub with my name. It's important. Connection string and some other parameters that I show here how to obtain by using command prompt. And I do have my objects. Okay, so I have here an air conditioning, grass watering, hygrometer to read humidity, full lights control, like a floor plan that you can pilot and turn on rooms lights on and off, a light sensor to read the luminosity, a smart display that I'm gonna show you later what it is, a thermometer. Okay, as you can see, each device have some methods It can be one or multiple. And in the example of the air condition, for instance, I do have a get state, which will give me back from the device how is the current state. Set temperature, where I can save a different temperature, like set a different temperature in the air condition. Turn off and turn on. And most important, some of these methods are set as two-way. Okay, so like the get states, usually the get states are two-way, meaning that the device can inform Sitecore when that state changes, so that I can take advantage of a local cache in Sitecore instead of having to request that information directly every time.
Okay.
That makes that very, very performatic. Each method does have a message returning type, which is only there to, for instance, the thermometer does have a temperature. The communication goes in JSON, but you do have the option to create your own message parser, deserializer. I do have here JSON deserializer, but you can create any. If you have XML, you can create a deserializer for XML. And then I do have the returning properties, like the air condition, for instance, does have enable and temperature, so that I can do things with this in Sitecore. And I am still expanding that, but there are three things that you can do. You can first, of course, use the API as a programmer. Second, use personalization. And I will open here the smart display example to show I do have some personalization here in place, where what I do is reading a state from the IoT device smart display. And when I select the method, I know what the device is, right? Because it's the parent. So I'm calling the get selected object in the smart display. The smart display was one example fictitious that I put together last year. And here I created a virtual object to act as a smart display. Basically, you have the display itself, and the user can click in the objects to pick them. And Sitecore, I have a Sitecore page here to act as this little monitor here. So what you see in Sitecore will be what will be displayed in the monitor, I will execute the demo later. So let me just go down to the Sitecore things. And here I'm calling this method, so to get the selected object. And I'm doing like just mapping, if the current object is equal to tablet 1, then I am pointing to the data source tablet 1 in Sitecore. I'm just mapping like the ID from the object with the data source item in Sitecore by using personalization. And you have the ability to do that with a string like I'm showing here, but also with a double if you want to read an integer or a float value. So personalization, and also for now, and also a little bit of Sitecore forms that allows you for now, let me open that, to read values from an IoT device and write values to an IoT device. So I'm building this example form where I do have, for the field, I do have a value provider that reads value for the IoT device. So get value from the IoT device, and I pass parameter here pointing to the method that I'm calling. That is, in this case, it's the get state in the thermometer, and I'm reading from the temperature property. I wish Sitecore had a better way to do that, but that's it. It's string, and here I have a button where I can call execute an IoT method. And here again, I'm pointing to air condition set temperature, and I'm getting the field value from the field thermometer state. So what I'm doing is reading from the thermometer and writing to the air condition in this example, you know?
Okay.
It's just a fictitious example, but yeah, I'm planning to expand and add support to PowerShell, so you can do that, read and write IoT devices on PowerShell, and also most important, the marketing automation portion. And I know I'm pretty sure I can create some entities here, like some marketing actions to send data to a device, a listener to listen from a device, like if the device is a sensor, a presence sensor, for instance, or a face recognition mechanism, the device can trigger something in a marketing automation. And now let me go to the sample finally. So let me put here side by side. What I have is this example here is very simple. It is the personalization that I displayed earlier with the 9 options, each one for each of the 9 objects that you see, and a loop to see it, using JSON to see if there's any change. So 5 seconds to do that. I will pick an object by clicking, and that will show the object in the Sitecore, which, you know, like I said, was the monitor here. I can, like that, I'm using an IoT device that is a smart display that is giving more info about the, you know, the object that the user is picking. You know, and well, that's a physical object that is there in the store, maybe without a human interaction, only the person and an animated object, but that can be counted as an interaction with Sitecore. There's something else I will still gonna add, which is the face recognition. So when the user clicks in the object, I not only gonna tell the story about the object, but also read the user's face. And of course, if he allows me to use his face for that purpose, I will also look for his friends' recommendations and maybe his past purchases for tell something about that product. Like, for instance, this Samsung Galaxy Tab is an evolution of version 1 that you had 3 years ago acquired. You know, tell something more about that. The other one will be the form that, as you can see here, I do have working. The thermometer is being read, and the thermometer itself for now is a command prompt. So I can write a temperature, like for instance 45. Now that's the new state. If I refresh, 45 is there, you know? And here I'm gonna send the information to air condition. I can click here